Have you ever been in a conversation and you find that someone has just lost that interest in you completely? You're talking, but their body language just seems to show that they don't really care anymore. They've officially tuned out the conversation. It's such a common problem I used to face, and I see a lot of people facing when we're talking to people. In this video, I want to show you exactly what to do to start fixing that from today. The first problem that people experience when they try and keep the conversation going is they don't use their environment. Think about it, right? Let's say you're in a coffee shop and you're standing with someone in a line and you're looking around. It's very easy to just pick up your phone and just start scrolling away. We don't want to do that. What you could do, especially if they turn around and nod at you and hint at maybe they want to start a conversation. Let's say they've got a book in their hand, or let's say they've got a nice shirt of a brand that you recognize or a team that you support, then that's an easy conversation starter. So really think about it and use that to your advantage. But the thing is, noticing what's around you is merely the first step. To take this to the next level, let's start listening to what the other person has to say. And what I mean by that is, let's say I'm talking to you right now and I'm talking about a stressful day at work, and I said, you know what? It's been such a long day at work. There were a lot of meetings and just so many complaints that people brought to me, and now I've got to fix all of them over the next week. How am I going to do that? A trick that I've learned is that you can listen to the words that are being emphasized by the other person. If you were listening closely, you may have noticed that I stretched some words out and just put a bit more emotion and a bit more emphasis into them. Things like, for example, a long day at work. You might ask, okay, well, why was it a long day at work for you? I know I explained it in this example, but sometimes people just leave seeds for you to then pick up on. And what made it so stressful? And why do you have to do it all in a week? Or do you have anyone who can help you? Or how is this making you feel? People always like to share their emotions and their feelings subtly about how they are feeling at a moment in time. It doesn't even have to be through words. Look at someone's body language. If they're talking about a friend who's let them down, they may look away from you and they may sulk and look at the ground. Or if they're talking about some financial troubles they're going through, they may start fidgeting and they may start looking around a little bit, or they may just speak with a very hushed, reserved tone. So that's all of these different cues when it comes to body language and how a person says something. They are things that you can use to very subtly have a dialogue with and just explore deeper about. Because the more that we explore deeper the emotions and try and build a connection between yourself and the other person in a conversation, the more likely it is that other people will want to talk to you and listen to you and share their feelings with you. So the first step is, now you've used the environment around you to pick a conversation point. Then you've listened to the other person and tried to register the emotions they're going through and trying to really dive a bit deeper on that. But if you want to keep consistent on a topic and you want to really come across as a more interesting person, which we all want to, you have to stay informed. What do I mean by that? I don't mean you just have to consume mainstream media every single day. But what I do recommend is that you keep yourself informed of what is going on in a field that you're interested in. And it's not to say that you have to consume every single newsletter and dive deep into every single article, but just keep yourself abreast of what's going on. And also try and pick out what are some of the wider trends that are going on. And this is where, if you have multiple interests, like for example, I'm into tech, but I also like learning about gaming, and you'll be surprised, there are some niche interests or interests that you may not expect to actually have much of a relevance in everyday conversation that actually are quite important. So for example, in the gaming industry, right? Unfortunately, it's a time where there's a lot of layoffs happening. AI is really, really playing a big role in how the gaming industry, especially the AAA gaming industry, is shaping up. And also, there's a lot of macroeconomics at play. You look at what's going on with the downfall of Xbox and how Microsoft has had to factor so many things into the disastrous Game Pass subscription raises. So you think of how your interests can actually align with what's going on right now. You can start to pick up on these things. Pick 2 to 3 YouTube channels even outside your interests, but that are somewhat related, to dive deeper and expand your conversational vocabulary. Because, for example, I don't like F1, but there's a documentary channel that put out a 5-minute video on how F1 cars get their tires replaced in what seems like such a split-second move. It slows down the whole process and goes through step by step what happens. That was so cool. I shared it with my brother-in-law who loves cars, and that was a talking point. Okay, I'm not an expert, but now I have a little bit more knowledge about these things. The more you can introduce these things into general conversation, and you just build those connections to be like, even though we're talking about AI, there's a lot of examples in the gaming industry that I can draw upon. Or maybe when we're talking about sports, I'd studied a bit of psychology in school. Maybe I can draw that in. There's a lot of different things that you can tie your interests to really stand out in a conversation. And it's going to take practice, but I promise you, that is going to be that ultimate step, and probably one you weren't expecting, to take your conversational skills from here to here. And that's what we all want at the end of the day. And here's the secret that I want to leave you with, that people remember feelings, not facts. Whether you're in a boardroom presentation, watching a YouTube video like this, people remember how the speaker made them feel, how they came across, and how they emotionally connected with you, not necessarily exactly what they say. So always keep that in mind, and that will take your conversational skills so much higher. If you want more valuable tips just like this, I'm taking on 3 new people to start taking yourself from here to the next level in 2026 to help you navigate your 20s. Peace out.